What's up, heathens? How are y'all doing? Tonight, we are going to be taking on D Marble. He released a video directed to me and thinks that I don't know what level is when we're talking about a context that surrounds physics. Like in a physics context, what is level? That's the question that we are going to answer tonight. Thank you, honey, for my summer ale. Sam Adams, summer ale. You can barely see through it. That means it's only light piss. No, it's actually really good beer. So, we're going to be going over D Marble's video and showing you how he doesn't actually know what level is in that particular context. Alright. Alright, hello, welcome to space. Here's the Earth. So, where we want to start off tonight is the whole idea of level. Now, D Marble here seems to think that I don't know what level means, but I contest that he actually doesn't know what level means and that he has a very rudimentary idea of what level actually is. So I wanted to go over right now in sort of a presentation style, just a small talk on what level actually is, and explain it from a physics perspective. Because this is what we're talking about, is the context that we're speaking in is physics, or the physical world. So we want to be able to describe these things in scientific terms. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the first thing that I want to bring up is the actual, like, I guess more actual definition of what a level is. Not definition, really. He seems to confuse it with definition. It's really more of an understanding. We're going to try to understand what level is. So I'm going to read verbatim from the screenshot. The link that I've pulled this from is actually down in the description if you guys want to go down there and check it out. So starting from the top here, the force of gravity acting on an object is directed through this center of gravity and toward the center of the Earth. The object's weight, W, can be represented by a vector directed down along the line the object would fall if it were dropped. When this object is resting on a level surface, its weight acts perpendicularly to the surface and will be equal to the normal force, which is the force keeping the object from falling through the table. The normal force is always perpendicular to the surface. When the surface is not level, the normal force will be equal to some subset of the weight. This is seen in the image below, which shows a box on an inclined plane. Now, inclined planes are a very big topic in basic physics. This is actually from a kindergarten through 12th grade website. So, I mean, this kind of shit's taught in, like, basic school. Like up till it's probably in high school, I would imagine, this level of stuff, or it could be in more advanced classes in middle school. What I would consider middle school. But anyways, so basically the weight of an object is always directed downwards. Even D Marble would agree with this. So when something is level, that means that it is perpendicular. It's oriented perpendicular towards that pull of gravity, that weight. Since gravity is an integral part of weight, the object has to be perpendicular to the pull of gravity. Now, what D Marble does in this video, and what I hope that you will see, is that he confuses flat, like the characteristic of something being flat, with the orientation of level. And that's what he doesn't get, is that particular distinction. That flat is a characteristic of an object, while level is actually an orientation. So we're going to see this as we go through it. Now, I do have some very rudimentary things here. Gravity, you guys can't see it. Gravity is always going to be pointed down, right? Well, then we've got this. It's flat, but yet it's not oriented in a level way. So it's not level. Well, shit, this one's not level either, yet it is still flat. Ah, yes, finally. It's oriented in a level way towards the Earth. as the reference point because that's where the center of gravity is on the Earth. So here's your basic physics lesson that you could have gotten in high school. I hope that you enjoyed it, and now back to the video. All right, let's get the marble up here. Let's go.
What's happening, people?
Oh, crap. Yes. Super chats. We got Chris Kelling. Escargot is delicious. I don't think I've ever had escargot.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
I'm hearing that it's not delicious. My FBI agent in my ear is saying, nope, not delicious. Teresa Ferris says, you should alter the science song in honor of D. Marble and his scientism word. Chris Kelling, true or false? The square is going down one of the three basic machines. Okay. True. I don't know. I don't know about that, Chris. Sorry, I'm not understanding what you mean. Anyways, if I had thought about changing the song for D Marble, I would have, but I didn't think about it. So next time.
So it seems like I can't do anything, make a video without one of these dead-eyed pseudo-atheists making a response video, whether I was addressing them or not. I call them pseudo-atheists because these folks are all part of the religion of scientism, wherein these government and or authority figures are their gods. They have their priests like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Brian Cox, and the like.
Okay, so for one thing here, he's trying to describe the scientific position as a religion when it's really not. For one thing, religion is very dogmatic, and you have to hold to that particular set of dogmatic beliefs. Now, true religions can change, and they often do. But that also doesn't mean that science is a religion just because it does change on occasion. Science is very much built off of repeated experimentation as well as overriding previous things that we thought were true with better information. That's something that religion does not do. Religion doesn't have any kind of dogmatic beliefs attached to it. And in general, you don't really see the scientific community like shunning people.
Said religion doesn't have dogmatic beliefs.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant science doesn't have dogmatic beliefs. Sorry, science doesn't. Religion obviously does. But his whole shtick here with trying to paint science as a religion, being scientism, I feel like that's very disingenuous on his part, but he gets way more disingenuous in this video.
Stupid. Fucking idiot.
Yep.
Of course, their Lord and Savior, gravity, which they call on to save them from whenever these bad flat earthers are making too much sense or something that they have to explain away that doesn't quite match up with their religious beliefs.
Sorry, go ahead, hon.
I was just sorry I choked a little bit when too much sense.
Demonic Davros, science debunks religion and its stupid false claims of flatardia. Yeah, I can agree with that. So basically, he makes gravity sound like an all-encompassing answer for everything that flat earthers have a problem with. But that's not exactly true. I mean, like, for instance, he's going to mention perspective later, and that's in no way, like, affected by gravity. Now, the crux of their misunderstanding is the fact that gravity exists, that it's a force in reality, that we can measure it, and that it's produced by the warping of space-time. They don't understand these things. But luckily for us, we do, so we can call them out on their bullshit. But it's also not our fault that you have a basic misunderstanding of gravity and scientific theories, the science community in general. It's not our fault that you don't understand that shit.
Most of these people, in my opinion, they're just putting up a front. I think they already know that the Earth is not a globe. because there's no detectable motion, there's no measurable curvature, and they've so-called done so many debunking videos and looked through so much evidence that they have to lie to themselves in order to save face, to maintain their channel, maintain their reputation, and of course continue doing it for money.
Oddly enough, I don't do this for money. I have a very, very good job, so I don't actually need to do this. But also, my particular channel is not oriented in a way that I need Flat Earth to exist. In fact, I can't really name anybody whose channel would specifically die because Flat Earth went away. They might shift their content towards other like crazy ass beliefs or crazy ass non-scientific things. But I would say that if Flat Earth went away today, everybody would just be fine. And if Flat Earth went away today, I mean, I think most of us would be happy because it's no longer a thing. And that's all. That's what we want. That's the purpose of us doing this shit. But also, he's trying to ad hoc make an excuse as to why we're not flat earthers. Mainly being that we're lying to ourselves just so that we can keep doing what we're doing.
Lying to yourselves, educated, tomato.
Yeah. We call it educated. He calls it lying to ourselves. That's a very good point, honey.
For instance, we have this one guy calls himself Godless Engineer.
Woo woo. Alright.
Which, of course, is a joke because of the reasons for religion that I just gave a minute ago. This guy's a total actor. You can see it in his eyes if you watch any of his videos. He doesn't believe a word he's saying.
Okay, so I do want to distinguish something. So how I'm acting right now is not how I act in my daily life.
Look, everyone who meets you is like you're exactly the same you are on YouTube.
I embellish a little bit.
Well, yeah, like when you put on the drunk country like that, everybody knows that. But like literally how you are is how you are.
I'm just saying that like however I may act like on camera right here with you guys, it's for entertainment purposes. So while it may just be even if it's slight exaggeration of my own personality, it doesn't mean that I don't believe what I'm saying. I definitely do believe what I'm saying, and you can often tell when I don't really believe in what I'm saying because I'm often putting on a very hick voice. I'll sometimes wear America glasses, I'll have a America shirt on, I'll have a Psy for president, you know, Psy from Duck Dynasty. I'll have that kind of hat on. I got it somewhere. I don't know. But in any case, however I act here, it's for entertainment and on occasion, education.
Ask anybody who has met him in real life, and they'll tell you exactly the same.
Yeah. Most people will tell you that I'm exactly the same, but I would say that I'm just a little bit more exaggerated. But anyways.
What you're going to see here, he inserts his religious beliefs where they don't belong. Where he gives a definition of level that it kind of conflicts with the official explanation. So
the only religious belief that I have is that religion is bullshit. So you claiming that I have religious beliefs is just you trying to denigrate me and my position. And really that's just, I don't know, it's borderline ad hominem attack at this point. Because there's really no substance to what you're saying, and it's really just meant to like insult me.
Revette in the chat said YouTube G is just 150 concentrate.
That is exactly what it is.
Let's check this out.
Level, but also level just means that it's perpendicular to the pull of gravity.
Okay, Sweaty Engineer would have you believe that the definition of level is perpendicular to the pull of gravity. Let's do a quick fact check versus the Webster's Dictionary definition of level.
All right, so we're gonna watch him go through all the different definitions of level, but what you need to notice is that what he's talking about here is the general like definition of the word level. But what he's not actually describing here is the concept known as what is level in a physics context. So you're not going to find a definition from Merriam-Webster that explains to you what level actually is. All it's going to do is define the word for you and how we colloquially use it. So it's kind of a mishmash of different fallacies that he's working with here. Because on the one hand, it's a dictionary fallacy because he's going directly to the dictionary and he's going to claim that I'm just pulling shit out of my ass. Because what I said isn't directly in the dictionary. Dictionary fallacy. But then he's also playing an equivocation fallacy here because he's muddying the conversation because he's talking about two different aspects of level. One is the definition of level, the other is the understanding of what level is. And so it's kind of an equivocation fallacy here.
All right. Number one, a device for establishing a horizontal line or plane by means of a bubble in a liquid that shows adjustment to the horizontal by movement to the center of a slightly bowed glass tube. That would be one of these. Number two, measurement of the difference of altitude of 2 points by means of a level. 3, horizontal condition. 4, an approximately horizontal line or surface taken as an index of altitude. A practically horizontal surface or area as of land. See, when we say that water seeks and finds its level, one of the things that people like to say is, what about waves and ripples, where it says here, an approximately horizontal line or surface taken as an index of altitude. A practically horizontal surface or area. So when people like to, this is what they do. They like to mince words. What about waves and ripples? That's grow up, okay? You know it. Generally level, for crying out loud. Let me see. Number 5. A position in a scale or rank as of achievement, significance, or value. 6. A line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines that it meets, and hence would everywhere coincide with a surface of still water. I like how they put that in there. Surface of still water. Because, I mean, this is what people have to pretend that they don't understand. Like Sweaty Engineer here, acting like he doesn't understand. Water seeks and finds its level, when it's right here in the actual definition of level, when they actually say surface of still water. I mean...
Okay, so I like here how he plays this whole idea that the dictionary agrees with him about water seeking its own level, which, by the way, is a phrase that doesn't really make sense. It makes water sound sentient, and that it actually does like flood, like water moves itself in some way, and it really doesn't. And I'll explain that when he tries to denigrate me later about water seeking its own level. But right here, I feel like this particular definition would be the closest thing that you could get to like a physics definition or a scientific definition of it. Because as you can tell, a line or surface that cuts perpendicularly all plumb lines. Plumb lines are going to be pulled down by their weight, which is the vector of the pull of gravity. Right? I mean, that's what a plumb line is. So, I mean, the definition that I said is directly in the dictionary that you were using, but you're trying to turn it into supporting you because it talks about the surface of still water, which we'll get to soon.
Okay, anyway. Moving along. Number 7, a horizontal passage in a mine intended for regular working and transportation. A concentration of a constituent, especially of a body fluid such as blood, like a normal blood sugar level is what the says here. Let me see. Number 9, the magnitude of a quantity considered in relation to an arbitrary reference value. Okay. In there we didn't see anything about gravity. So that pretty much proves that this guy's just making stuff up, being very deceptive, just trying to lead people astray in order to believe that they live on a spinning ball that actually has some measurable curvature somewhere, when in fact it does not, by making up definitions that are not real. It's just pulling stuff out of your sweaty butt. Anyway,
Just say call you sweaty butt.
No, he says that I pull definitions out of my sweaty butt.
Oh, okay.
Okay, first of all, if you're gonna insult somebody, try something different. Okay, me being sweaty or calling me sweaty engineer really isn't all that impressive. Well, it's not even funny. And then saying sweaty butt makes you sound like a fifth grader. But also, your little trek down dictionary lane here didn't actually prove me wrong. It actually proved you wrong. You're just too dense to actually see how it proved you wrong. The definition doesn't have to include gravity because things like the plumb or just the mere mention of any kind of weight would have sufficed because gravity is an integral part of weight. So it doesn't have to directly say level anywhere in it.
I also wonder if D. Marble has ever spent a summer in Alabama. If he has, we'll see how much he wants to talk about a sweaty ass.
Oh, no. He lives in Seattle.
He don't know shit about it.
Or maybe not Seattle, but it's like Washington State. That's where he lives at. I mean, that's where like the vampires twinkle.
Also, another thing for these people who come to the video leaving a comment saying that level doesn't mean flat. These people. Well, here, let's do a quick lesson on synonyms. Now, synonyms are words that are similar to the main word that is being defined. Okay, so here, level, synonyms and antonyms for level. Antonyms are, words that mean the opposite. Okay, this is for you, Sweaty, and the clowns that are coming around saying that. Synonyms, right here. Synonyms, adjective, even, flat. A synonym for level is flat, flush, plain, smooth. But yeah, there it is. I'm not saying that level means flat, but another word that is very similar is flat. It just happens. I mean, I don't write this stuff, so.
No, yes, we know that you do not write for Merriam-Webster. But in any case, I don't care what synonyms are associated with level. Objects can be flat but not level. Like we saw earlier with my presentation, things can be flat and not level at the same time. Now, true, colloquially, when somebody says something is flat, generally they're talking about it being level or basically level with the pull of gravity. That's what they mean. So
but that's just a casual use.
It is a casual use, but that's also what Merriam-Webster is doing. Dictionaries are used for colloquial uses of words or how we're currently using the words in our vocabulary. So I don't see how this proves anything. This would be part of the dictionary fallacy we were talking about earlier. So I don't know what to tell you there, D. Mark.
Just gonna leave that there for you. That's conclusive evidence right there that Sweaty Engineer is just making stuff up. No wonder this guy thinks he lives on a globe. He doesn't understand the definition of level.
I gave a perfectly fine presentation of what level is at the very beginning of this video. Now, I didn't go into depth in it in that particular video because I didn't realize that I would need to, but I'm glad that you've given me the opportunity to fully explain what level actually is in a physics context. You obviously don't know what level is.
It all makes sense now. But like I said, I think the guy's an actor. I think he's just putting up a front. And we'll be able to take a closer look at that here, where you'll see him acting like he doesn't understand the simple phrase, water seeks its own level.
Whatsoever. This little phrase here, water seeks its own level, makes no sense. For one thing, it makes it sound like water is a sentient being, and it seeks its own level.
So there he was.
Yes, I still stand by that. Water seeking its own level makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Pretending like he doesn't understand a simple phrase, water seeks its own level. But here, let's take a look at him doing some intellectual grandstanding.
Okay, what do you want me to start with? Buoyancy, viscosity, fluid statics, Bernoulli's equation, fluid dynamics in general, which is what he's talking about here, is a very broad kind of topic that includes a lot of different things. So you got to be a little bit more specific. I like how he labeled this as intellectual standing. These are basic concepts in like physics, and I remember getting taught this shit in like physical science classes in 7th grade. So I don't see this as so much as like intellectual grandstanding. It's more or less like a statement that I went to fucking school.
Again, that's why I call these people actors. Because on one hand, he can sit here and pretend like he understands all these complicated ideologies, and then on the other hand, he can pretend like he doesn't understand a simple phrase like water seeks its own level.
Actually, I didn't say that I didn't understand it. I understand the phrase. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't make like any kind of coherent sense. I can understand what you're trying to say with it, and it still not make sense. Those aren't mutually exclusive things. I can do both things at once. I'm a multitasker like that.
So, what's it gonna be? Are you like a super genius, or are you mentally deficient where you can't understand a simple topic?
Honey!
What?
7th grade physical science is genius level work now.
Of course it is.
Oh my god! This is the information that I used for this particular episode tonight, I got from a kindergarten to 12th grade resources site. This is basic information. There's no like genius level things here. Okay, this is just basic physical science. By which, in middle school, fun fact about me, I joined the Science Olympiad team, for girl, and I actually placed first in the physical science category because I am a boss with the physical sciences.
Okay, so for a quick visual demonstration there, Johnny, what we're going to do is show you a waterfall. Now, what we're seeing here is water seeking its own level in real time. Okay, as the water at the upper level flows over the waterfall, that's why they call it a waterfall, because the water is falling over. It pulls up at the bottom. When the water finds itself contained on the surface, it's level. That's exactly what that means. That's about as simple as it gets, and I mean, if you can't get that, I really don't know what to tell you.
Okay, let me try. Water is a fluid, and like all fluids, these things are subjected to multiple different kinds of forces in our reality. In D. Marble's example here, there's gravity working on the water molecules that are in that river, and because of how the land's oriented and how just everything's oriented in there, the water is actually flowing towards a certain direction. That direction just so happens to be off of a cliff, which then falls down and creates the waterfall effect. And then the water is down there and it keeps on flowing because of how the land is oriented, and it just moves in that direction. That's water reacting to the various forces that are imposed upon it because it's a fluid and an inanimate object. When you pour water into a glass, the water doesn't form itself into the shape of the glass. The water takes the shape of the glass because that is the container that it's in. It's the container that's putting the pressure on the water to make that particular shape. So that's why that sentence doesn't make any kind of sense at all. I understand what you mean by it, but that doesn't mean that it makes any kind of sense. Water doesn't seek its own level. Water reacts to forces that act upon it. Just like everything else in reality, by the way. It's just that water is a fluid that we find everywhere on the earth.
Now, personally, I feel like the visuals and all that is one of the reasons why these people don't like me, because I keep these things so simple. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of word salad to confuse you into believing anything. I'm just going to show you and let you make your decision from there.
Now, I'm not a super technical guy, okay? I feel like my explanations here tonight have been very simple. I've used pretty pictures, and I've kept it to the very top level kind of explanation. So, I don't understand why he thinks that I'm using word salad to convince people of basic science, but I'm just teaching at even above an actual like middle school teacher level. Like this is I would not present this particular explanation to like a middle school physical science class as a way to explain like inclined plane physics. This is a very very top level kind of explanation. So I don't know why he's brandishing me as being some kind of in-depth person. Like I never go too in depth on these particular topics. I usually try to speak in a sort of layman fashion so that most people can grasp it. And that's actually caused a lot of problems in the comment section because a lot of people want me to go deeper into it, explain it in more detail. But I try to do my best with explaining it so that everybody, regardless of their education level or how well they can understand science or math, can understand these principles. Arduin, Jesus, how bad is his audio really? I don't know what's up with his audio. It's kind of all over the place. I know when I did my response video, I had to treat it a little bit, but you know, it's what he's got. He lives in a van.
And why I believe these people are actors is because they can see these things so many times that don't add up with their ideologies as far as the Earth being a globe. Take, for instance, the laser test, the observations that were done on Puget Sound with myself and my buddy Mark last year. You know, this guy's 10.3 miles away on a beachfront with a laser that shouldn't have been seen. You know.
Actually, you can go to both my channel and to Greater Sapiens channel, and you can find debunks of his laser test here. The short answer is that he wasn't accounting for the beam divergence of the laser. By the time the laser actually got to his shoreline, it was over 100 feet wide, like in diameter. This is a basic property of lasers and light and all that kind of shit. So the fact that he didn't account for that or that he's not telling his audience about it in the video seems to indicate that he's being disingenuous with presenting it, or he doesn't understand how light or lasers work. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you're being disingenuous because I don't know. So I'm going to go with the fact that you don't know how lasers work.
At that distance, if we live on a globe with a bulging water in between us, there should have been a mound of water obstructing my view of the origin source of his laser.
To which you cannot see the shoreline over there, even though they were up on the shoreline. You cannot see the full laser. It's obviously being obstructed. The laser was well above the water, but when he looks at it through his camera, it is right on the water line, which seems to indicate that the beam diverged, got bigger, so that he could see it from his position with his P900. If you have your bingo cards out now, stamp that shit right now.
But people like Sweaty Engineer, they'll put out these so-called debunking videos to lead people away from the obviousness of the truth that the surface of water is level. So even in response to that, there was a point where I took my camera and I zoomed from where Mark was on the beach to where I was at, and I matched the buildings up.
So, hold on. I wanted to get this line up here. So, basically, honestly, I can't tell if those buildings are matching up. But let's be gracious and say that they do match up. Well, see, here's the thing. You have so much shoreline in front of those houses that you cannot see. You simply can't see it in that bottom picture. And because it's obstructed by the water. Because the earth is a sphere. I don't understand why you think that this proves that there is no curvature. you're obviously picking buildings that are way up on the shoreline, that are higher in elevation. And so you're trying to show your audience how it's flat when really you're just showing that you don't understand how fucking refraction or how the Earth curve calculators work.
That distance, I took a graphic from Google Maps and matched up the buildings perfectly from one edge of the beach to the other 10 miles away, showing that.
He says, my position on the beach, the box, should have been hidden by the Earth's curvature. So, where is it? Gesundheit.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, for one thing, I can't tell if that's really his position. You can't see anything. You know why? Because the fucking Earth is in the way.
That was direct line of sight across that body of water. But this is the type of stuff that these guys will ignore.
We're not ignoring it. We're explaining it to you. God damn. See, it really grates on my nerves how they say they're ignoring these things. They're not telling you these things. No, we are explaining these things to you. We are telling you that we're not ignoring the different things that you're bringing up. We're just able to explain why you can barely see the very tip top of whatever the fuck you were trying to show.
Now, another thing that I put up in my most recent video was a side profile of the Panama Canal, and Sweaty Engineer seemed to appreciate that. So since this guy likes the Panama Canal so much, I figured he'd really like the Suez Canal. Now, if you go onto Google and you look at how long the Suez Canal actually is, it's going to tell you it's 120.1 miles long from one end to the other. So for the calculation, 8 inches per mile squared, that's going to give you 1.82 miles of curvature. It's supposed to be detected over the course of the Suez Canal. Luckily for us, we have videos on YouTube of people actually plugging up a GoPro camera to a ship and traversing the Suez Canal. So let's take a little ride and see if we can detect any of this curvature. And here we are taking a digital trip down the Suez Canal.
I would like everybody to note how, even in the camera shot here, shit's turning. For one thing, you're on a ship that's moving, so like you're not going to be able to detect any kind of dip or anything like that because you're constantly changing your reference frame. If you constantly change your reference frame, you're never going to experience this downward slope or anything. That's why you people love to look out over the ocean and look at boats going over the curve. Because if you keep moving your particular reference frame, you will never see the slope or the curve or anything like that. You'll never see it. I don't know why you think this particular trip down the Suez Canal is going to prove anything. Because all it proves is that you can find shit on YouTube and you can put it in your video and then claim that you debunked me or anybody else. So I don't understand the point of this. You're never going to see any kind of downward sloping curve or anything like that traveling across the Suez Canal. It's just not going to happen.
Especially close attention to the flat horizon, and off in the distance, on the water, that's where we're told that boats are disappearing over the curvature.
The resolution of this goddamn video was 360p when I downloaded it, okay? I don't know how he expects us to see any fucking thing in the distance. For one, you got a GoPro on there, not a P900, okay? So I don't understand why you're even pointing out the perspective argument. But that argument doesn't even make sense. And I've gotten a little bit of pushback on this here recently because people are complaining about how I'm saying that boats instantly disappear in the middle of the boat. And I don't see what's wrong with that. Maybe you can explain to me in the comments why I'm wrong, but when something goes over the curve and it instantly disappears, if their explanation is that it just gets too small to see, then that means that at like halfway up the boat, it, for whatever reason, instantaneously gets too small to be seen. Which means that it's traveling away from you instantaneously fast because there's no like there's no like slow reduction of the angular size of the object, it just immediately disappears. So I would love to know that. Also, how on a flat Earth would you have a horizon? How is that a thing? Like, regardless of the atmosphere and everything like that, because there are people that say that the atmosphere would obstruct view. That I still don't understand how there would be an actual horizon on a flat Earth.
But that's been proven to be a matter of perspective. When things get further away from you, they appear to be smaller. It's been discussed in many videos, countless videos. But also pay attention to where the water meets the land on either side.
Yes, you're not going to see any curvature from either this elevation, or horizontally, or long ways on the. I guess this would be x-axis, y-axis, something like that in front of you. You wouldn't be able to see it in front of you because, I mean, you're just not seeing enough of the Earth in order to detect it. You know the Earth's really fucking big, right?
Realize that in your experience on a micro scale, regardless of where you've seen water pool up in whatever container, the surface is always generally flat. Bathtub, swimming pool, lake, all that.
Yes, because water reacts to the forces that act upon it. If you have for most bodies of water, like especially bodies of water that you can see like to the horizon on, they're always going to be flat. But the fact that there is a horizon suggests that the Earth is a sphere.
Glass of water, even. Come on. The surface is flat. But you'll still have people that will try to manipulate you and tell you that your senses can't be trusted.
This guy telling us that there are going to be people that try to manipulate you. This guy saying that about me. Okay. I'm not the one trying to manipulate people with bullshit rhetoric.
That your eyes can easily be fooled. That you can't trust your senses. You trust your sense of taste. You trust your sense of hearing. You trust your sense of touch.
Motherfucker, what? You trust your sense? There have been... Okay, so when I was in middle school, since we're taking a trip down memory lane, when I was in middle school, I had went to Six Flags over Georgia on a school trip. And I stayed up the entire time. So there was like a good 20 hours or so that I was awake. I wasn't used to being awake that long. On the ride back, I was cold because I went down that fucking log ride and got wet and shit. I heard Weird Al Yankovic in the fucking bus singing. Mainly because, I'd been listening to Weird Al Yankovic at the time when I was a kid. But that means that I thought that I was hearing it, but I wasn't. And it was probably just me thinking about it in my head or whatnot, but I thought that I heard it. Anyways, never mind that. The fact is that you can't trust your senses all the time. Have you not heard of illusions, motherfucker? Mirages, magician's tricks, which are illusions, but I'm guessing you probably wouldn't know that.
You trust your sense of smell. Can you not trust your vision?
Not always.
Do you honestly believe that the water and the land are curving downward?
Motherfucker, people see ghosts all the time when it's really just like a gnat flying by a camera.
As we travel down this canal. Don't let people deceive you. Free your mind. Wake up.
Neo.
We are not on a spinning ball.
We are.
That has water curving and stuck to the exterior of it.
Yes, it does.
That makes absolutely no sense.
It makes perfect sense. Flat Earth makes no sense, dipshit. Sorry.
Do you need to see more?
I would like...
Fine.
Hold on. I would like to see any evidence of a flat Earth.
Let's do that. How about an aerial view from out on the open sea?
Okay.
If you were standing on that boat, if you can imagine yourself standing on that boat right there, no matter what direction you looked in, all you would see is a flat horizon. And yet, so many people are still brainwashed and still allowing these actors, these liars, these tricksters to manipulate them. But consider this.
What exactly have I said that's been a lie? Like, how I explained the level, what that is, and everything is perfectly explained in the link that I have in the description. I'm not lying to you. I read directly from a high school resource website about physical science. So I don't understand why you think that I'm lying about anything.
When a person believes that they don't have a soul, it is seen as pure profit when they sell it.
No, I don't believe we have a soul. Nobody has a soul. You don't have a soul. I don't have a soul. My son doesn't have a soul. Because a soul is pretty much like the concept of what a soul is pretty much just your inner being, like your own consciousness. That's what a soul is. So, like, just because you call it a different name doesn't mean that it is something special now. It's still just your regular old consciousness. As soon as you die, that consciousness goes away and it doesn't go anywhere. At least nothing that we can detect. So, I don't know why you think that I'm selling my soul here. I'm not selling anything. Well, okay, I am selling these awesome shirts. You might see like a little shelf down there that has them. You can go there and get you a nice GE shirt. The Heathen one's my favorite, but this one is the one that's clean right now.
So do your own research and ask questions. Myself and a lot of other people are seeing this as a pretty common sense topic. If most of the earth is covered in water, I think you know the rest. But anyway, that's all I got for this video.
Good. This is all you got. I'm not going to let you shill or anything like that. So, D Marble, I appreciate you not showing up tonight so that I can rip this video apart. I think that it made for a great video. Back to here. So that's going to be it for the response portion of tonight. If you guys are leaving or you're watching on the replay, I really appreciate everybody joining, watching, leaving a like, leaving a comment, sharing this motherfucker out. Especially if you share it on Twitter, make sure you tag D Marble. We need to flood his like mentions and shit, right? Anyways, so definitely do that, and I guess we'll see you heathens later. I'm about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments, and I'm sure they're going to do all the shilling that I need to do. But I'm about to do that. If you're watching on the replay, I will see you guys later. If you're leaving, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.
Don't go.
But don't go because we have Skeptic